What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Custom Points Live. I am your host, Jarrett, and I'm here to help you with your points. Today, we have a really big one. Bilt responded to my initial questions regarding the two-player strategy, so I wanted to go over that with you guys today. Also, I just want you to be aware that I do have a family, so they might interrupt me during this live, and I also have a business, so I'll do my best. I'm also going to be posting more videos like this that are ideally shorter so that you can watch it at your leisure instead of having to participate in a full live. And I will do my best to respond to comments if anybody decides to comment during this video. So with that, let's just get started here. I'm just going to fix this camera here. So let's start with the original update, which is that I sent this message to Bilt in their chat and just want to review exactly what we were asking of them. We wanted to know if we could route authorized user rewards into, and what account it actually goes to. I'm just going to summarize this as briefly as I can. Wanted to know if Bilt Cash could be separated so that Bilt Cash gets earned on the main user, and then the rewards, the points, could go to the authorized user. I wanted to know if the authorized user spend counted as far as base points towards rewards, category bonuses, and point accelerator bonuses. As we talked about last time, it's 5 times the spend that's required in points to get the same status. So silver and gold are 5x, so meaning that it's 10,000 points to get to $10,000 in spend to get to silver. You need 40,000 points, or excuse me, 50,000 points. It's 25,000 in spend to get gold, and that would be times 5 is 125,000 points to get gold. And then it's for platinum, it's 50,000 in spend, but it's only 200,000 in points. But then the question is, which of those points work? Because, for example, Rakuten points that you earn does not count towards status. So I wanted to know all of these things. The main idea was that if you potentially could combine the rewards on one person's account, could you reach status faster by using a player 2? And so here's some questions that I asked. It was basically which points apply to that idea. Elite status, which points count as qualifying points towards the 200,000. Point accelerator and elite status, are those going to count? Housing and mortgage, is that going to count? And status via spend versus points. They have something called the, what do they call it? Well, we'll read it in a second anyway. I don't want to waste your time. Authorized user spend contributes toward elite status only through points earned. And does that, that's it called fast track. Does it also contribute to fast track? So these are essentially the ideas. I waited. I followed up with Bilt multiple times, and here is their response. Ray says, thank you for your patience and your review. I'm going to read this word for word, and then we'll talk about it after. You can add authorized users to your account. Your authorized user will be able to accept their invitation by tomorrow, 2/7, and Bilt goes live tomorrow, by the way, if anybody isn't aware. By default, at Bilt 2.0, by default, any rewards in Bilt Cash earned from an authorized user spending will accrue to the primary account holder. If you prefer, you can update your settings so that rewards accrue to the authorized user instead. We already knew that based on the support documents. The primary account holder will still remain responsible for all charges and can manage their authorized users directly in the Bilt account. 2 answered above, which we'll argue that they did not, but let's just keep going. Yes, you can update your settings so that rewards accrue to the authorized user instead. If enrolled in flexible Bilt Cash option, which is option 2, authorized users may earn 4% Bilt Cash on everyday spend and may redeem Bilt Cash to unlock up to 1x Bilt points on Bilt housing payments. Now, we'll talk about that in a second, but that's interesting. So it basically implies that the Bilt Cash can't be split, and if you're putting the points on your account as the authorized user, then you're also collecting the Bilt Cash on your account. To qualify for the 50,000 Bilt points and Bilt Gold's elite status, this is for the Palladium card, everyday spend totaling 4,000 or more must be made on your Bilt Palladium card account within 3 months from your account open date. Purchases made by you or any authorized user will count toward that requirement for accounts approved before February 7th. meaning before today or earlier, the 3-month spend period begins on February 7th. That didn't answer my question, but good to know that they're recapping that. Point accelerator bonus points are not treated as qualifying points for Bilt Elite status. I repeat, point accelerator bonus points are not treated as qualifying points for Bilt Elite status. So that means that if you do want to have your points accumulate on your account, or you want the points to accumulate on the original person's account, so player one of this card, it doesn't matter because it's not going to help you towards status, but you are, of course, able to use the points. Then he also points us to C number 1 again. And then here is very important information. Spend on the authorized user account will contribute toward elite status and fast track spend for the authorized user only. Interesting. Rewards will not count towards the primary account holder status, only the member who spends on their account. So the spend that you earn, so if you're getting 2x base points or 3x, for example, that those points do count and they count toward the authorized user status. But more so, what's really interesting is that fast track spend counts for the authorized user. So even though my original thought of the strategy was, hey, accumulate as many points as you possibly can on your on your account, so you could use your player two, they can have their card, and then you would be their player two essentially for their card, and you would accumulate all your points together on one account. That may not be a good idea. However, and we'll talk about that in a second why. But the most important thing here is that fast track spend does count. So if you're the authorized user of your player two, so let's say your spouse. In my case, if I wanted to get an Obsidian card for my wife and I have the Palladium card, I could be an authorized user of her Obsidian card. It would cost $50, and I would be able to spend on that Obsidian card, and that spend would count toward my fast track spend on my account. So I would be able to essentially combine the spend for Palladium and for the Obsidian. So you could essentially, by having a player two, have two cards with Bilt and still be counting towards fast track together, so long as you don't spend on the primary account holder for the Obsidian and you only spent on the authorized user account. That is huge. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment to talk about how important that is. What that means is if you have a 25,000 point threshold or $25,000 threshold on the Palladium card for, let's just forget about housing for a second. Let's only talk about the point accelerator. You're spending 25,000 on that card. You're getting 3x on the Palladium card. Then if you spent 25,000 on the Obsidian card, which there are ways to do that. Let's say you selected groceries. There are advanced things you could do with groceries to make sure you are hitting that 25,000 spend. And that would mean that you spending 25 on each doesn't give you gold on both, but it would give you platinum on your account if you were using that authorized user account. So that is huge to be able to have that. So that changes the game as to what you'd want to do with player two strategy. You could obviously, in the case of what I just described, if you have an authorized user Obsidian card, just as an example, you would want the points and the Bilt cash to still accumulate on the main account holder's account, even though you're separating the points across you and your spouse. Why? Is because the Bilt cash you would want to be earning on that account so that you could buy more point accelerator with that account. I'm going to go ahead and assume, and again, this is all assumptions because none of this is live yet, but I'm assuming that's the right solution because I don't think, again, it wasn't really clear in this response, but I don't think that I don't think that you'll be able to, as an authorized user, turn on the option 2 where you're accumulating Bilt cash on that card that you're an authorized user on. I think that the main card holder has to turn that option on. Obviously, if you're collecting the 4% Bilt cash as the authorized user, right, and you're combining that with what you're earning on the Palladium card, The issue with that is that you wouldn't have the Bilt cash in the correct account to then pay for, at least that's my assumption, to then pay for the point accelerator on that other card, because then you would be earning 4x if you do have the Bilt cash turned on as an option 2, and you're buying that point accelerator with that Obsidian card, you could potentially be getting 4x on that grocery spend. So the total would be 4x on grocery for 25,000 in spend, and 3x on Palladium for everyday spend. So combine those two spend, and you're getting an average of 3.5x for that $50,000 in spend, and that's not even including housing at 3.33x. So this strategy would not only give you the ability to have all of those points on your account earning toward platinum status, but if we can, it really boils down to that 25,000 being unlocked, right? The point accelerator with the 4x on the Obsidian being unlocked if you have to have the Bilt cash on that account, on the main account. Now, here's the other thing. If you could accumulate the Bilt cash on one account, so combine it all into one account, and then you would be able to, let's say somehow you could dip into that authorized user's Bilt cash to then pay for the point accelerator with the Obsidian. Now you have the ability to get status on the, what would that be? I'm thinking out loud. I'm building all this out while I'm talking to you, because I just got this response. I wanted to make sure I got you guys the answers as soon as possible. I'm thinking about, what about the authorized user? What about the main person that, for example, my spouse that has the Obsidian card? You wouldn't necessarily want all of the points on that account if it doesn't have status, because then when there is a transfer bonus, you're not able to earn that transfer bonus. Now, they would get the status from points, but they would have 100,000 points. So the points they'd be accumulating would be going to that authorized user, and that 100,000 points would be sufficient for silver status. So you at least would have silver status for the points, even if the spend is counting towards the other person. So like the person that had the Palladium, that's an authorized user of the Obsidian. So it's really interesting. Let's see how they play this out. But that's along the lines what I'm thinking about. And as you can see on the screen here, if you have any questions or ideas for other content, please do feel free to comment and let us know what you think about all this. I'm going to stop the live here, but I'm going to continue to do other lives, probably back to back to back, because if you're anything like me, I really don't like watching someone just go on and on. I wanted to kind of keep this as a stream of consciousness, yes, but on a certain subject, and keep it relatively short. So if you do want to continue on the next live, I'm going to start a new one, and we'll talk about something else or something slightly different. And that way, everybody that's watching this later doesn't have to kind of dive through a whole long video to get the content they want to see. So I'm going to end the stream here. If anybody has any thoughts on how they're planning on using Bilt, I'd love to hear it. Please comment below. And please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. We thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in a few minutes on my next live.